Okay, we've talked a little about what a 5-paragraph essay is and why it matters. We have looked at the parts of an introduction. The hook, the background information, and the thesis statement is what we're discussing now. This all fits into the organization of a 5-paragraph essay, where you have the first paragraph, which is the introduction, the body or supporting paragraphs, which are 3 paragraphs giving ideas to support the main idea that you find in the thesis statement. And then the final paragraph is the conclusion, which mostly ends with summaries and a strong ending. So, let's talk about the thesis statement, the most important sentence in your essay. What is a thesis statement? Well, the thesis statement is a statement that explains the entire idea of your essay in a clear, simple, concise way. Now, this is interesting because we talked previously about how a 5-paragraph essay's organization is kind of a mirror image of a good paragraph's organization. And we said that the supporting paragraphs are like the supporting ideas. The conclusion of an essay is like the closing sentence of a paragraph. But here, the thesis statement is like the topic sentence for the whole essay. The same way that a topic sentence controls the topic of your paragraph, a thesis statement controls the topic and focuses the idea of your entire essay. A thesis statement should be clear, simple, and concise. So, honestly, most of the very smartest people I know communicate clearly and simply, and they can get to the heart of their issue in few words or in clear ways that often even a child could understand. So don't think that long sentences or difficult vocabulary makes you smarter or makes you sound smarter. Also, concise. Now, this is kind of a similar idea to being simple. Don't waste words. Use as few words as you can while being totally clear. This will help your reader. This will also help you, because if you can explain your idea in clear, simple, concise language, you have a real understanding of it. And if you can't explain it in clear, simple, concise language, it might be time to think about it a little more before you start writing. A thesis statement has 3 parts. Those 3 parts are the topic, the position, and the preview. And let's go through each of those and talk about what they are. So to begin, a topic. This is what the professor gives you. There are all kinds of different topics, and these examples of topics are things like animals, hiking, climate change, or success in university. These are the kinds of topics your professor might give you. Your professor might say, write me an essay about hiking. Write me an essay about animals. Okay, and that's fine. Most topics are pretty general and broad, and that's good because that means there's lots of different things to say about them. The position is what you specifically want to say about the topic. So it's your angle or your big idea. The professor tells you, here's the topic I want you to write about. I want you to write about climate change. I want you to write about social media. I want you to write about technology and the environment. Well, usually that's not enough for you to just start writing. You need to decide, what is my opinion about that topic? What do I think about that topic? Or what area of that topic do I want to explore and study and research for my writing? And that's where you find your position. So here are those topics again that we saw. Let's look at some of the positions that are connected. Okay, animals. Well, there are so many different things you can write about animals. So here are a few examples. The 3 smartest animals in the ocean, or 3 animals in danger of extinction, or these three animals helped scientists understand human society. Those are positions, those are ways of approaching the topic of animals that you could use. And these, the other thing you'll notice, the topic animals is very broad, but these positions are very focused. And you should always get a very focused position, because the more clear and focused your position is, the better your writing will be, the easier it will be to do your research, because if you know you're writing about the three things you must bring on a hike, once you've found those three most important things, you know that you're finished research. Once you've found three kinds of people you meet when hiking in Seoul, or once you've researched three important numbers for Earth's environment, and once you've found those three, you're finished research and you can start writing. If you start writing about climate change without a position, without a focus, you're going to keep having new ideas, and you have no method to decide, this is an idea I should keep in my essay, and this is an idea I shouldn't keep in my essay. It's not relevant. So it becomes much harder to sort and organize your ideas. It becomes much harder to research and to know when you've found enough information or where to look. So make sure that you find a position that you like, that's interesting to you, that's focused, and that will give you enough information to fill up the length of your essay, not too much, but also not too short. Okay, so here's that last topic, success in university. Some positions, for example, how to turn university success into job success. 3 reasons it's important to study the humanities. Okay, these are all positions you could have in your thesis statement. Now, the third part is a preview, and a preview lets the reader know how you'll support your position. A good 5-paragraph essay often has 3 supporting ideas. So usually your preview will look like 3 supporting points, which you summarize very, very shortly in your thesis statement. So, for example, the 3 smartest animals in the ocean are the dolphin, the orca, and the humpback whale. I'm not sure if those are the actual 3, but that is my 3 supporting points for this position. These 3 animals have helped scientists understand human society. And then we give, once again, 3 different animals. It doesn't have to be a list of a thing. It can also be something like 3 reasons. 3 reasons we should stop keeping animals in zoos. Number 1, it's cruel. Number 2, it's unnatural. And number 3, it teaches humans to think about the environment in unhealthy ways. Okay, so any one of these, hiking is great for 3 reasons. And you'll notice that I'm using the number 3 quite a lot in these positions. How to prepare for hiking in 3 different kinds of weather: sunny weather, rainy weather, and very hot weather. Each time you should preview, you should give, here's what my support will be in your thesis statement. And this is kind of like giving your reader a map of your essay so that your reader knows, okay, we're going to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about this next, and then we're going to talk about this next. Okay, and that helps your reader to know what to expect. And in academic work, okay, if you're writing fiction, it's good to have surprises and surprise your reader with a twist or something. But in academic writing, you should have no surprises. Your reader should know exactly what's coming. And if they're impressed by your writing, it's not because you surprised them with a plot twist, but because you impressed them with clear, simple, thorough, detailed explanations that fit the topic and that used clear language that was easy to understand. That's how you impress your reader in academic work. So, that's what a thesis statement has. Now, why should you spend a little extra time on a good thesis statement? Well, like I said, a good thesis statement is the controlling idea of your entire essay. Having a good thesis statement means that you're finished planning. You know that the planning stage is finished if you have a good thesis statement and finished research if you're doing a research paper. A good thesis statement will make your writing easier. It's easier to write when you have a good thesis statement because, like a good topic sentence focuses your paragraph, a good thesis statement focuses your whole essay. And for the reader, this will also be easier to read because the reader knows what to expect too. Now, the parts of a good thesis statement, or what should a good thesis statement look like? We're going to talk about that now. Here are the things a good thesis statement needs. Now, there are a few things that a good thesis statement should do, and here's the list. First of all, a good thesis statement should take one side. And what I mean by this is don't try to argue both sides of a position in a thesis, in your essay. It is a sign of intelligence to see multiple sides to a problem. In fact, I think all thinking, thoughtful people should be able to see more than one side to a problem. And I would even say, if you meet somebody who can't see the other side to an opinion they have, if you meet somebody who really can't understand why someone would disagree with them, don't trust them too much, because they're probably not thinking very much about their opinions if they really can't even understand the possibility someone would disagree with them. However, even though it is truly a sign of intelligence to see more than one side or understand more than one perspective on an issue, when you write, it's time to take one side. Look at both sides. Look at, a lot of issues have more than two sides. Look at all the different perspectives, think about them, and choose what you actually believe. This is something you need to do in life. This is something that you need to do as an adult sometimes because you can only vote for one person. There are times in life you can only accept one job interview. There are times in life when you have to decide, even though you can see the good points of more than one view. So a good thesis statement should take one side. So thinking critically, making judgment is part of being a mature thinker. Next, your essay will get really, really long if you try to write both sides. If you want to write why something is bad, but why it's also sometimes good in one essay, that's going to be a long essay. Next thing is your reader might think that you can't decide. It comes across badly to your reader if you write both sides and it sounds like you really just can't choose. You seem indecisive. And your writing will be more focused if you choose one side and support it as strongly as you can, rather than trying to write both sides and probably doing a poor job of both sides because you're going to run out of space in your essay. Second, a good thesis statement should be arguable. Arguable or controversial are words we use here. There are other words that can also be used. One is contested or contestable. What this means is this is a topic where reasonable people actually disagree. A topic where reasonable people can support agreeing or disagreeing with a position, and have intelligent reasons to support their position as well. Okay, find a topic where there's an actual debate, where people can't decide, where it's common to see people say, well, I understand both sides, but... Okay, find a topic like that, because that's where high quality thought is going on. It's not always a good idea to choose a popular opinion for a few reasons. First, because I've heard it before. If you're going to tell me that recycling is good, well, I've read that essay. I've read that essay 10 times from 10 other students. Another reason it's not always a good idea to choose a very popular opinion as your essay topic is because in areas where people rarely disagree, often those become areas where a lot of careless or low-quality thinking goes without challenge because most people agree, so nobody's challenging it. Areas where there's a lot of debate and discussion, you don't have the possibility. It's not possible for those ideas to be lazy or sloppy, because if you have lazy thinking in an opinion that people disagree about, somebody's gonna find your lazy thinking and correct you or embarrass you. So opinions that are too popular can become areas where there's sloppy thinking. This means that often people take parts of their argument for granted rather than doing the work to really support them well. And they start arguing, everybody knows that, rather than going out and finding the evidence. It's not always a good idea to write about an opinion that's very popular, something like fast food is unhealthy. However, going against a popular opinion can be a really interesting topic, and your reader will be interested to read. If you say, oh, my essay is about how fast food is unhealthy, well, your reader is thinking, boring, because they've read that essay before. So many people have said that and shared that position in the past. There's just nothing new about it. But if your topic is, even though most people think fast food is terrible, I think it's great, that's kind of interesting because you're going against popular opinion. Please also remember that I'm using the word controversial here, but controversial is not the same as a hot topic. And sometimes people think it is. A hot topic means the topic that everybody is thinking about right now. The number one news search, the number one Naver search is a hot topic. But often there are hot topics that are not controversial. For example, when Korea's President Park Geun-hye was impeached, 95% of public opinion was against her. So, yes, she was the number one search result on Naver, but nobody disagreed that she was dishonest and probably shouldn't remain president. Nobody disagreed about that. So, even though the impeachment was a hot topic, it was not a controversial topic. If you find a topic where people are arguing, where people for it and against it both have really good points and important things to say, that's where you have a truly controversial topic. Also, another danger in the controversial or arguable topic area is be careful about choosing to attack an opinion that's too easy to attack. There are some opinions people hold because they're ignorant, because they don't have enough education, or because they don't understand science or how science works, or because they believe everything they hear on TV or they believe everything they read on the internet. Don't argue against those people in your academic work because it's too easy. and there's no challenge, which means you're not exercising your academic muscles very well. They're an easy target, and you will need to work better and think better if you find somebody with a quality, thoughtful position that they can support, that understands science, that understands facts. It's much harder to answer that kind of an argument, but it will make you a better thinker. If you want to become a better cook, you have to try cooking some challenging dishes, not just scrambled eggs again. To become a better thinker, you need to engage with difficult, quality thought, and spending your mental energy arguing against poor thinkers and fake science or fake news or artificial facts, where all you have to do is show that the fact is untrue and you've won. It doesn't make you a better thinker in the way that your thinking improves when you argue against intelligent, thoughtful, well-reasoned positions. So I'll give you an example of climate denialism. More than 95% of climate scientists agree that climate change is happening and it's caused by human behavior. This is not controversial. The only people disagreeing with that are people who disagree for political reasons or just because they don't understand the science. So if you're choosing the topic, is human-caused climate change real? It's not an interesting topic because the science is in. There's a scientific consensus about this. And it's not fun or useful arguing with people who are ignorant or don't understand science, or who are arguing in bad faith, because really for them it's not about being right, it's about money or political power. None of those are good reasons to engage with someone's argument. However, if we dig a little deeper in that topic, related to the human-caused climate change topic are a lot of interesting, complex issues where lots of thoughtful people disagree and have lots of good reasons to support them. So questions like, is nuclear power a good replacement for oil and coal energy? Well, that is a topic where people who agree that climate change is an urgent problem caused by humans still disagree about that. Who should pay the cost for cleaning up areas that are already polluted? Should the government, should companies, should taxpayers, or who? Should the person who's trying to buy the land? Who? What are the main political reasons people deny climate change? Right? What are those reasons that politicians are making arguments about economy instead of environment? How did it happen that there are now political incentives for climate denial? How did it happen that there are political groups in almost every country who are on the side of economic growth rather than saving the climate? What's going on there, and what's the thinking, and what's the history of that set of ideas? Because that set of ideas has a specific history. Should our country tax imported goods from countries or companies that aren't working to protect the environment? There are a whole bunch of different topics we could use to talk about climate change where there is controversy and where a position is arguable. So find a topic that's arguable. Find a topic where thoughtful, intelligent people can disagree with good reasons. A good thesis statement is specific. Very specific topics are easier to write about. It's easier to write it, it's easier to organize it, it's easier to research, and it's also easier to read it. It's easier to know when you're finished researching, it's easier to know when you're finished writing. It is easier also to take a topic that is too specific and make it a little bigger, add something to it, than to take a topic that's too big and make it smaller. So always and use pre-writing for this, use whatever you need to, but make your topic and your position as specific as you can. Specific writing and specific thinking are almost always higher quality. And it also saves time, because if your topic is very general, you need to read a lot more. And you might have to write a lot of different ideas before you find a real focus for your writing. So make your thesis statement as specific as you can. And this might be something you have to do during the pre-writing stage, but by the time you have a thesis statement, your topic and position should be very focused. Avoid absolute language. Now, absolute language are words like all, always, never, none. These are absolute words. And the reason that these are dangerous words to use in a thesis statement is because it's very difficult to prove or defend words like this, but it's very easy to attack them and disprove them. For example, if Sam says, all Canadians love ice hockey, or all Americans love NASCAR racing. Well, if they say all, you only need to find one Canadian who doesn't like ice hockey, and you showed that Sam is wrong. If Sam says that all Americans love NASCAR racing, you only need to find one American who doesn't like NASCAR, and you've shown that Sam is wrong. It's easy to attack somebody who's using words like all, always, never. So instead of using words like all, always, or never, use words like usually, often, seldom, generally. These words are a little more careful, they're a little more accurate, they're much easier to defend, and they're much harder to disprove. If Sam says most Canadians love ice hockey, or most Americans love NASCAR racing, to prove that Sam is wrong, you need data. You need to do a lot more work. You need surveys. You need to gather information or find information somewhere to show that. Okay, so avoid absolute language. Try to use language that's more accurate. And words like none or never or always, those make your argument easy to attack. So only use them if you are very, very confident about it. Also, avoid wishy-washy language. Wishy-washy or uncertain means language like I think, maybe, possibly, or it seems. There is room to show uncertainty in academic writing. And in fact, it's better to show that you're uncertain about something than to pretend you're confident about something when you're not. It is fine to be uncertain in academic work. And it's better to be uncertain and know that you're uncertain than to act certain about something that actually isn't certain. Okay? It's totally okay. And in fact, part of quality academic work is to look at your work, to look at your results, and to judge how much uncertainty is there in what I've found. Is there only a little, or is there still quite a lot? And what could we do to remove this uncertainty? What could we do to become more confident about this result? That's actually part of academic work. So it's okay to be uncertain in academic work. However, In your thesis statement, be confident. It's your essay. It's your topic. You did the reading and the research. You are the expert. So here, in your thesis statement, be confident. Later in the essay, use the language of uncertainty to show accurately exactly how confident you are, or how unconfident you are, where the areas of uncertainty are. But in your thesis statement, be confident. A good thesis statement uses parallel form. Now, what does parallel form mean? I'm going to give you an example here. There are 3 problems: too expensive, speed, and difficult. Let's imagine somebody's trying to build a new bridge. Okay, and this is what they say. Well, there are 3 problems with building this bridge: too expensive, speed, and difficult. We have too and an adjective. We have a noun, speed is a noun, and we have difficult, just an adjective without too. That is a difficult sentence to read. The language is just ugly because the language doesn't go together. It doesn't feel balanced. So we need to fix this. One way to do it is it's too expensive, too slow, and too difficult. Let's use too and adjective for all 3 of them. Or we could change them all to nouns and say the problems are cost, speed, and difficulty. We could also make them all adjectives. It's expensive, slow, and difficult. We could use adjective plus to and then verb. It's expensive to build, slow to finish, and difficult to plan. Okay, you can use a phrase like this too, as long as the phrases have the same shape, the same style. Okay, each one of these is parallel form. And always use parallel form in your thesis statement in the preview. And this will make your thesis statement seem balanced. It will make your thesis statement nicer and easier to read. And it's beautiful. It's just beautiful language. The last thing a thesis statement should be is it should give specific support, but not too detailed. The details do not belong in the thesis statement, only the preview, only a hint. So, for example, that thesis statement we looked at, the problems are cost, speed, and difficulty. I'm not giving all the details. I'm not saying, well, it'll be the cost for materials plus labor plus lost productivity due to traffic jams. I'm not giving those details in my thesis statement. That comes in the supporting paragraphs. The problem is speed. I'm not explaining where the speed comes from, why the speed will be a problem. I'm just saying speed here, and in my support paragraph 2, support paragraph 1, support paragraph 2, support paragraph 3. In support paragraph 2, I'll explain why speed is a problem, why it will be slow, why it'll fall behind schedule or whatever. And then in the 3rd supporting paragraph, I'll write about why that will be difficult, what the challenges are, and explain them in detail. Okay, so I'm giving a hint about the supporting ideas, but I'm not giving the details in my thesis statement. That details come later. Okay, so those are some things that a good thesis statement should have. All right, take a look at this handout now. And in the handout, there are a set of problems with the thesis statement. Okay, there's a set of thesis statements here, and each one of them has 1 or 2 or 3 of the problems that we just discussed right there. Okay, so look at these thesis statements and try to identify the problem in each one. And if you have a piece of paper, try to correct them, or write down a corrected or fixed version of each one of these. Let's take a look at these thesis statements. Try to find the problem in each one, and after you've identified the problem, rewrite it, fixing the problem and correcting it. And you'll find a link to this handout in the YouTube video notes or details. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this lecture, and please remember that your thesis statement is the most important sentence in your essay. Of all the places to put a little extra time, a little extra work, and a little extra planning, you will get more benefit from putting extra time into your thesis statement than any other part of preparing your essay. So do take a little time. Practice writing good thesis statements, because it takes a little practice. You need to get the hang of it. The first few times it's hard, especially the parallelism. And one thing that you'll notice is that if you haven't done enough pre-writing, the thesis statement is harder. If you're having a lot of trouble writing a thesis statement, go back and do more pre-writing, because the problem might not be that writing a thesis statement is hard. The problem might be you haven't spent enough time developing ideas yet. So do take a little time writing good thesis statements. Learn how to write a good thesis statement, because every one of your professors has learned how to write an essay with a thesis statement during their university education. And when they see that you know how to write a good thesis statement, that gives them a little more confidence that you know what you're talking about. You get more academic respect and trust from your reader, including the professors who are grading your work, if you show that you know how to write a clear, simple, focused, concise thesis statement. Okay, so these are the basic tools of good academic work. Take the time to learn how to use the tools of academic work, because right now you're in university and that this is your job. Now later on, after you graduate, explaining your ideas in clear, simple, concise language, supporting your ideas with specific details, avoiding absolute language, being specific, focusing on controversial or arguable topics rather than obvious ones. Those are all things that will make you a useful, powerful thinker in your workplace as well as at university. So please remember that the skills you're learning as you learn to write a 5-paragraph essay are skills that will help you in all kinds of parts of life, not just academics. Thank you again for listening to this.